My name is Margaret Westfall, and I'm an associate professor in cardiac surgery. I mostly do basic science research, looking at proteins that are involved in making the heart pump. I think the leading cause of death is cardiovascular disease. The statistics are that you have 5 million people in heart failure, and at least 1 in 9 people that die in the US are dying from congestive heart failure. And so it is extremely important, if we're going to try to treat this disease, that we understand the basic science and we translate that into clinical, either diagnostics or in care. One thing that Michigan has overall is they have tremendous resources, core resources and things, so that even as you're starting out, you have access to things that can be pretty sophisticated instruments and be very costly for an individual lab, but you would have access to that. We have a cardiovascular research center, so this floor that I'm located on are all people working on cardiovascular disease. And so you have a core of people that you can go to that have common interests, but they may be different, and that you can collaborate and consult with. I think Michigan overall has a very good reputation for trying to recruit, especially newer scientists, because they are good about how they foster their development, and that doesn't always happen in other institutions. Overall, the Cardiovascular Center has a number of strengths in many different areas. That's not always easy to find in a medical center, that you have that variety of strengths distributed over a broad variety of things. It's got breadth and depth, but I think that it does translate into clinical care, and we do have physicians who are working in the lab, so their focus is to try to come up with better either diagnostics or clinical care. You'll get exposed to such a broad variety of approaches and techniques, and if you decide you need to do something that you haven't done before, that's an opportunity here. And there are dedicated rooms for tissue culture and for animal handling that are they're really nicely arranged, so that there is a minimum of barriers for trying to get your research done. And it's not trying to figure out, how am I going to go to someplace else to get that? It will already be here, I'm sure. People are passionate about training, so I think that everyone would, if you come here, you would benefit from that and be ready for whatever you think your next step is, if it's an academic position as a basic scientist, or if you're going on to a pharmaceutical company. I mean, there are all of those opportunities to learn about that here as well. Once you get into cardiac, you realize how much more we need to find out and how complex heart failure is. And so I think you realize that even if you're doing basic science, it is going to have some impact on a disease that kills more people in the US than probably almost any other disease.